Hello everybody, and welcome to one more video on big units. And this time, let's take some time to see the Alamo. I mean, this is the something I made around 2004 because of that very famous movie that came out in 2004. There is a previous movie from 1960, but the one from 2004 is, in my opinion, a very good movie, and they made a very good reconstitution of the Alamo. Of the role of the main heroes of the history on both sides. I mean, calling Santa Anna a hero is a little bit, exaggeration, but okay. So you have here three things. You have here the Spanish mission of the Alamo. You have here they speak Spanish, in fact. The Mexican army surrounding the Alamo. And of course the Texan army, okay, infantry and artillery. So let's see, what is this? The model of the Alamo itself is built into, as you can see, in several parts, a total of 17 parts. So if you take out, for instance, let's see, this corner is a good example. So there is some paper, there is wood, and mostly there is pieces of styrofoam. Okay, everything is based also, and then you can place the figures on top. So there are, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, for instance, only to make the north wall. Then there are bigger ones. You can see here, for instance, the cattle pen, which is something very big piece. There is a small one, for instance, like this small wall, which is also part, of course, one of the 17s. You see here the church. You see here the palisade. You see the south gate here, also a very big piece here. You can see it here like this. Okay, let's try to place it like this for you to see it better. So some parts are very big, other parts are small. And in fact, I got inspired also by some commercially available models of the thing, not exactly distributed as I'm showing you, but I mean their own idea about this compound. You see here also La Villita, which was a close by ruined village. Again, you see everything gets out, if you want. In fact, you pile all this stuff in a relatively small area, which is in fact the idea, because the problem of this kind of project is, of course, storage. There is also this famous individual artillery position, which was facing the south gate. And as you can see, I mean, the building this was extremely funny and extremely also educative, because it's a learning process, all these things. Of course, you are forced to read plenty of stuff about the when you read about the structure, or also reading about the history, and the history of this period is also a funny one, of course, as everything in history is, of course. But I remember spending maybe, I don't know, close to 1 year building all this stuff, maybe, or at least a good part of that year, 2004. I think it was mostly 2004 that I made the majority of what you can see here. So in terms of building, let's go around. Let's see a little bit more on the other side. The animal's pen, the rear of the church. There's also an artillery position here that you can see. Even a few things that I added to this model sometimes were rebuilt, because in the meantime I was finding new information, apparently more precise. So I was changing a little bit things, and well, it ended up like this. So the Alamo is seen. Let's go to the armies. Let's start with the Texans. Texan armies is a funny one, because it was very small, between 200 to 300 people, more or less, and it had several parts. There were the Tennessee guys that went along with David Crockett, that is here. You can see here Jim Bowie also. You can see here, by the way, in terms of heroes of the story, you can see Sam Houston, which was not, of course, in the Alamo. You can see here Travis, because they are all characters that come in a very nice box, which probably also made me do this all these things, which were the release by Imex or Imex. I don't know how to say it. Imex. Okay, we call it here Imex. I'll call it Imex. An American brand of 1/72 scale plastic soldiers that released the Texans, the Mexican infantry, the Mexican artillery, and the Mexican cavalry. Uh, Everything was very useful. I mean, the Spanish, the cavalry, the Mexican cavalry for this battle was not. It was, in fact, it existed on this period. It was a Presidio cavalry, but what would have been much nicer for them to do would have been the Dolores regiment with a much more European look, which is here. Okay, so these ones had to be converted. Um, so this box have several parts, not only the Tennesseans that I've showed you, also the U.S. Regulars, volunteers. These are the New Orleans Greys that went to the Alamo. Of course, everybody that you can see here died. I mean, everybody, in fact, in this table is already dead because this happened many years ago. But even so, these ones, of course, died first because, I mean, Texans were massacred up to the last. And the rest are the militia. Okay, so there are at least three clear and distinctive types of infantry in the Imex box. Regarding artillery, everything was converted. There were guys that came from Napoleonic period. Others were, I think, cowboys from the Revell set and things like that. I tried to adapt them to their new intended role. You see, I mean, the artillery was made a little bit like that. Artillery came mostly from of course, from Napoleonic guns and also from the Mexican artillery set of Imex. You can see here other conversions from several sets. I think that guy pointing is a French from Esci. The other two I really can't remember. I don't know. Well, they were made like this. Okay, in relation to the Americans, yes, Texans, the thing is seen. Let's go to the Mexicans. Mexicans were, of course, a very European-looking army. I mean, of course, I have to paint the faces of the Mexicans a little bit darker because there are 10 people, of course. Inspired, of course, in the French. Santa Anna was crazy about Napoleon. His hero was Napoleon, so he dressed his soldiers as typically as French. The flags were hand painted. So you see here several regiments of the. This is Aldama. In fact, I can do it more easily because I have a paper here, where I placed the most of the information about the order of battle. So you can see here, for instance, Allende Regiment. You can see here San Luis Regiment, Toluca over there. You can see here Zapadores here. You can see here this is Aldama, yeah, and San Luis. You can see here the artillery. Artillery is the Imex artillery with these readouts from, if I'm not mistaken, from Italeri. Now let me pick the paper for not to say nonsense. Then you see here other regiments, and these guys here are Matamoros regiment, and over there you can see Jimenez. Now, a little bit about the Spanish. Sorry, I'm always with Spanish in my mind. let's see a little bit the uniforms. So you see here, for instance, a typical base of Mexican infantry. These guys are Imex, and some of them had the brown, the blue uniform. Others had a white jacket, summer white jacket. There was also, for instance, other ones that could have used probably the overcoat. I think you call it overcoat, surcoat, overcoat, something like that. Well, you know what it is. Um, because the assault on the Alamo was effectively made almost during the night. In fact, most of the fight happened during the night. So probably many Mexicans used their warmer clothes. In relation to brands, you can see here Imex, you can see a Revell, you see here Esci, um, plenty of Esci and Revell everywhere, and also Airfix, as you can see here, for instance. More of them here, and on the other side, you can see also in that group, for instance, you can see plenty of Italeri also, the more recent box of Italeri. That marching unit is made of Airfix, of Imex, Esci, Airfix, also plenty of different brands that can be seen. So this is the infantry of the Mexicans. There are also some light infantry that were here next to the abatis, of course, in order to spread as much as they could the Texan firepower. And then you have here the cavalry. Cavalry was a very funny thing to be built because, as I told you, there was no Zorro type. Let's try to focus. There's no Zorro type headdress here. Oops. Okay. And so I had to use the Polish Hulans from Esci with what? Whose heads are these? Maybe Revell, British Dragoons, or yeah, I think it was those, or even the Austrian infantry. But I think it was the Revell heads. Yeah, it was because of I remember the certain details of that. Yeah. And more artillery over there. Artillery, as I told you, straight from the box, Imex. So figures are almost everything is seen. There are also some ladders that I made with the help of Imex figures. There's a tragedy happening here already with a Mexican being shot. There are also some of them that were not manned by anyone. They were just to lean against the wall. There's also plenty of course of skirmishers with green epaulets, French style, of course. And now for some pioneers, some funny conversions. These guys are in the movie of 2004. They break the doors. They are door breakers, right? That's what they were used. In fact, this was one of their main missions in war. So some of them are the Esci bodies with the heads from, if I'm not mistaken, from Strelets, and there are the ones that are directly from Strelets. The one to the right is directly Strelets. Also an extra rifle on the back to make them a little bit more functional. And then you can see here a number of historical figures, also from the Mexican side. So you can see here, of course, Santa Anna itself. Santa Anna is here. Let's try to focus. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I used Italeri's Napoleon figure with the Russian Strelets head. and then some changes, of course, in the body in order to make the figure of Santana in his white horse. It had to be white, of course. You see here who is this guy? Another officer, which is Castrillon. You see here also Cos is somewhere here. Cos, if I'm not mistaken, is this one here. Yeah, exactly. Cos. Then, I mean, we'll look a little bit about their facial expression to make it as close as possible regarding those portraits of these days. But frankly, I mean, sometimes this thing is not very well achieved. There are also some foot officers. For this one represents Amador, and there are two others I have also here, if I'm not mistaken. This guy here is Morales, and this one here represents Romero. Okay, and together with, of course, with Crockett, with Jim Bowie, Sam Houston over there, and Travis. There are a number of historical figures here. Travis, for instance, got an extra rifle on the back because the guy from the Imex box, is only armed with a sword. Very small for his action at the Alamo. His last action, of course, as everyone knows. He was the first one to die of the Mexican heroes. So you can see here the famous. Whoops. He's not famous. He's Foggy. Let's try to see if I can focus this guy here. David Crockett, of course. It's not the first time that he's made in plastic in this scale. Atlantic also has some funny figures of David Crockett. And Jim Bowie here. Okay. In fact, he was not like this. He was in bed, filled with fever, extremely sick, and dying. In fact, almost. In fact, he died. I mean, the Mexicans burst through his nursery, which I think was somewhere here, and he, after, I mean, apparently, after he shot a few of the Mexicans, he was, of course, bayoneted and killed, as happened with the entire garrison of the Alamo. So this was of course a Mexican victory, even if costly. So you have here the three parts: the Mexicans, the Texans, and the Texian, sorry, and the Alamo compound. I have also made some rules for it. As usual, I have my books, my own reference material that I print from the internet. Each time I make a period, there is a small dossier. This one is not that big, but even so, some very nice information. And of course, the usual books like the Ospreys. There are at least three that I know, books that Osprey made on the issue, and plenty of other much better things. But of course, I mean, when this thing was done after lots of reading and lots of relatively careful research, I mean, I started to paint something else. I don't know exactly what. So I hope you have enjoyed, and see you next in another video about, eventually, I mean, probably more modern days, like post-World War II campaigns. Okay? Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Cheers.